Hey, everybody. So glad to be here with you to celebrate the confirmation of Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson. So we will be talking on our panel today on celebrating her confirmation, and what does that mean, and talk about what does that mean for the Supreme Court and for the American people. Jump to the next one. I want to make sure that I definitely let our give space for our panel to introduce themselves. But I'll briefly let you guys know that we're here with the Dream Defenders and Broward for Progress. So glad to be here with you guys. And I'll throw it to Lori really quick. Broward for Progress.
Thank you so much, Juan, for having us today. I'm really excited to be here. I can't tell you how happy I was this morning when I woke up. So I'm glad we're having this conversation. I represent Broward for Progress. We are a grassroots organization that is committed to championing progressive values in the state of Florida. We're 100% grassroots. Our members also champion get out the vote and getting folks mobilized to vote. So thank you for having us today.
So glad that you're here with us, Lori. Always good to have you on the panel. It's going to be a great discussion. And Bernice, thank you. What's so good?
Hey, everyone. Thank you, Juan and David, for inviting me to be on today. My name is Bernice. I use she, her pronouns, and I am the Director of Voter Engagement with Dream Defenders, which means I'm responsible for running our voter registration program across the state. Dream Defenders is a Black woman-led Black and Brown youth civil rights organization, and we're super excited to be a part of the conversation today.
Awesome. Glad to have you guys. And so let's celebrate Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson and her confirmation to the Supreme Court judge, the Supreme Court. Let's go to the next one, Dave. So, how did her path to the Supreme Court differ from current justices? So, with a 53 to 47 vote spread, Judge Ketanji is confirmed into the court. It was, it looked like it was going to be lengthy, and then we got news of her confirmation yesterday. So, David, we talked about this as we looked at it yesterday of where this conversation was going to go, and it went great. It went our way, right? It went her way.
Yeah, and this is really exciting and really glad that we get to talk about this today. That it was really just 24 hours ago that this vote really happened, and that we got confirmation for Judge Ketanji. And you can see here, probably if you squint a little bit, just a little like just where Judge Jackson falls in her qualifications, which is to say overwhelmingly positive. That she went to public high school and as such, got to have an education that anyone is able to get, and not just ones that, might be really specialized, and, highly accomplished to have a Ivy law school, Supreme Court clerk, is the only person on the bench that is a public defender, that has been a public defender and has that perspective. And we'll bring that to the court. So among these other incredibly qualified aspects to Ketanji, so all of that is really something to look forward to, and something to compare to how the confirmation process went with the other judges that you can certainly see here. So yeah, that's just a few things, but definitely wanted to of course ask, like, what do you like most about Ketanji when you either got to hear her confirmation hearings and her answers to questions, and I guess what's there most to look forward to having her on the bench?
Absolutely. I think what I'm most looking forward to is having like a Black woman's perspective on the Supreme Court. I mean, this is like historic and incredible. And I think that oftentimes Black women don't get to these kind of places, or when they do, it takes a lot longer and is a lot harder for them. And so I was really glad to see that Ketanji's confirmation, even though she got asked some ridiculous questions, it wasn't like, extremely extended or extremely dramatic as like we have seen some be in the past.
I also love the fact that she came from.
Yeah, Lori was on mute when I saw her.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Juan.
No, go ahead. Go ahead, Lori. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I muted. I was just gonna jump in and say why I woke up this morning so excited. Every morning I send my daughter off to school, and I always tell her the same thing: brains and heart, be good to the nennies, and go be awesome because you are. But the reality is, as a woman, I know that she's going to face a ceiling, right? Certain roadblocks. And I also know that people of color are also going to face those roadblocks. So today, to see and know that there is hope, that if you work hard and you're honorable and you put your mind to it, there is still an opportunity for justice. So I am extremely excited as a parent. I'm also excited as a woman. When we have a Supreme Court that has had over 100 old white men, sorry to say, and only a handful of women and only 2 people of color, that is just shameful for a nation that purports to be a nation of liberty and justice for all. So I am excited today because this is she is eminently qualified. She is smart. She represents the best of us. She gives us hope. And as you mentioned, Bernice, I mean, how many girls are waking up this morning and saying, I can achieve that. I can strive for that. And that is a reality. So super exciting. And one thing I will say, when you look at this list, my understanding it shows there is she is in some regards more qualified than 4 of our current justices. When we think about Kavanaugh and his hearing where he was crying and has no experience, that doesn't lend credibility to our justice system. We know America is broken in many ways, and our justice system is feeling that threat. Ketanji Brown Jackson's nomination and confirmation lends back some credibility. I'm not saying it's not perfect, and we have a lot of ways to go, but she is credible. Like, she's given us some. I'm just super excited. I'm going to be excited tomorrow morning too.
Absolutely, me too. And I was just gonna chime in and say, it's incredible. She's broken so many records, or the glass ceiling, is, if you want to say it that way. I was doing calls yesterday on behalf of her, right, David? And I had a guy ask me, well, I'm not gonna, if you went into the old Trump, spill and started talking about how he didn't believe that she should be qualified. He was like, well, name me one good thing. And I proceeded to give him 10 things. And he was like, he just shut up and ended up, hanging up the phone. But if you look at the list, even from Judge Barrett's confirmation, and how smooth hers was in transitions to hers, but how honorable, how honorable the judge is. I look at it like, I come from a family of my dad. He's in the military, but he started off in law school, and just to become a judge from being a public defender, period, is a hard jump, right? And so if you look at it, I think that's one of the things that amazes me, that she just came from. She's a normal Black girl, right? And a normal judge, and just transcended into the highest court. And so I think that is a major deal.
Yeah. And the fact that there's so much to look forward to. I mean, judges, it is a lifetime appointment, and a lot of times maybe we can look forward to hopefully like a quarter century or more of the impact and influence that her presence will have on the Supreme Court, and how laws get implemented across the state or across the country. And so it's not just an election where you win and it's incredible, but you got 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, who knows? This is a lifetime impact that we can look forward to, and this being just one Supreme Court pick, we can hope for seeing even more along this line in the future.
We go to the next one, David. So what can we expect now, I think, is the biggest question. So the court, as of now, still has a conservative slant with 3 liberals and 6 conservative-leaning judges. So what impact, and I'll open this to the panel, what impact do you think Judge Ketanji will make in the system? Bernice?
Oops, I was on mute. Sorry there. So when I think about the impact, I think it's going to be huge. When we look at things like, for example, women's rights, we have a big court case coming up regarding women's rights. And so it's going to be great to have Ketanji's opinion on that, even though we know, unfortunately, the court does have a conservative slant to it. So it's unfortunate to say it's probably not going to go the way we want it to go as far as the court case on women's rights, just because the reality is the makeup of the court is still conservative. And, until we get more spots open up on the court, which is, it's a lifetime appointment. So the spots don't necessarily just open up out of the sudden. It's going to be a challenge to really navigate some of the issues that we have going on in our country.
I think that we're also going to, those are great points, Bernice. I would jump in and also say that the work of folks championing her is not done. She will constantly be under attack. I mean, that's just the reality. And so I would implore any good person to really, just stay behind and encourage her, because she's got a long journey ahead of her. But I think she's going to be profound years to come from now. We also need to set her up for success and continue championing other, left-leaning or liberal-leaning, a little more equity, if you will, a little more fair balance in the courts. Our group advocates for expanding the court for 4 more seats. And I know there's a lot of organizations out there like Demand Justice are championing that. I also think that it's going to have another impact. We have to look at how, the Heritage Foundation, how they react to this, because I think that's also something that is an underlier of this movement, if you will. And then I'd be curious to see the overall impact this has on next year, or the upcoming presidential elections, because Biden's promise was kept, and we'll see how that impacts in addition to other things. But I think this is profound. This is a moment in history. History books will look back at this period of time, and this is profound. And her impact will only be magnified by the public support. And that's why I think it's not that we just cheer her on and celebrate when she finally is brought into office, which I understand will be after this term. We have to continually, over the next few years, be championing her successes. And I'm just super excited. I think this is a turning moment for the court systems, I hope.
Absolutely. One thing I'm hopeful for is that the impact will result, she'll have an impact on the attack on women's rights that we're seeing, that it will give just an extra watchful eye from a person who cares about people.
Well, definitely. Well, to kind of continue on, I mean, this is the current makeup, and obviously this is a photo with we'll look forward to the new photo that comes out. This is as it currently is up to this point, but we can expect to see with Justice Breyer leaving the court, we'll get a good photo with Judge Ketanji, Justice Ketanji, among the group, which will be a really good thing to add. But of course, this happened and came about after a week or more of questions from senators and trying to make a big deal out of what they thought of her experience and her role as a judge. And across all of that, across her standing firm and delivering really cogent answers at every turn and just demonstrating all over the place during her speeches, during her confirmation hearing, that eminently qualified, truly belongs and deserves to be on the Supreme Court with everything that she's accomplished. And through all of that, only 3 Republican senators crossed the aisle and voted to confirm. And of course, those are, Susan Collins from Maine, Lisa Murkowski in Alaska, Mitt Romney from Utah, and no one else. Certainly, unfortunately, not anyone from Florida, which is where she's from. She is a Floridian as well. So if you got to follow these hearings, if you got to tune in on a daily basis, as you got to listen to the good questions and the bad ones, and hear her responses. What were some of your takeaways from the confirmation hearing? What did you think, before just coming up to the vote, how things were going to look with how partisan this confirmation process was?
Yeah, so I thought Ketanji was so well, like, I don't know how to say it. She was so incredible in how she handled the questions and navigated the questions that they were asking her. Like, she handled everything with grace, which I find admirable. I think at one point she got asked a question around her religion or what her religious affiliation was, which is not really appropriate because we don't have a state religion. We're a country without a state religion. But she handled it with such care. And she said, my faith is really important to me. And she spoke about it a bit, but she also spoke about the fact that this is not a religious appointment, So I was really impressed by her. And I thought she did an excellent job.
Yeah, I would agree with that analysis. If either you or I or anybody was going into a job and we were asked that, that's grounds for discrimination. So the fact that she was answered it, but my takeaway was it really showed the divisiveness of this nation, and it showed in what I believe is people that are really truly walking the walk and championing the values this country lives up to: freedom, justice. She embodied all of that in her pose and how she answered those questions, how time and time again we saw these wayward senators trying to take her into places and just despicable. Some of how they treated her was just really shameful. Walking out, interrupting her. She continued to be a woman that you would expect if you're going to be nominated and confirmed as the Supreme Court Justice. She took it with grace. She took it with confidence. She spoke well. She didn't let them badger her, and she answered the questions, and it was just incredible. So there's no doubt that she deserves this seat, and I'm super excited. Very disappointing, though, to see so many of these senators that didn't even give her an opportunity, like Senator Rubio and Senator Rick Scott, who made a lame excuse that she would change laws somehow and that they couldn't support that. That is just absolutely ridiculous. They didn't, once again, they did not stand up for the people of Florida. They did not do their constitutional duty, which is to fairly sit down and navigate these hearings and listen to her and give her an opportunity. They didn't do that. Not surprised, because they've not shown up for the people of Florida for years. But it was disappointing to see some other states, Republicans didn't even give her an opportunity. Very happy to see Collins, Murkowski, and Romney. And I will just say one thing, as disappointing as it was to see Senator Manchin pretty much blow up, Build Back Better, if you will, and how heartbreaking it was for Democrats, to get expanded care and different things that we were hoping for. This is a little bit of relief, if you will, for this nation, that it is, let make no mistake, justice is a struggle. And so it would be nice if we had, 30 more Republicans, but I am really grateful that we had 3 that had the courage to really sit down and listen to her, look at her. And I think it was Romney who said, I may not agree with some of her rulings in the past, but I have faith in her as a justice. And that's what we need people to do, is understand that we're not always going to agree on everything. But was she qualified? She was more than qualified. Would she be fair? Absolutely. She demonstrated that in her history and who her character is. So this is the best of America. I'm very disappointed. I do think, hopefully, more of Americans and Floridians will notice the shenanigans of folks. Who's really standing up for people? Who's fighting that good fight, and who's really representing freedom and justice. And we saw not only Ketanji doing that, but a lot of the party or folks that voted for her in their questioning. Cory Booker, he took his moment of questions to really acknowledge that moment of history and honor her, because she was being barraged by just nonsense. Some of the questioning, the line of questioning was inappropriate. I had to keep turning it off. I turned it off, turned it back on. I got so mad. I don't know how she kept her pose. She was just incredible. So just my thoughts on the hearings.
Yeah, for me, I mean, I had 2 feelings about it. I wasn't necessarily surprised, especially not to see any of our leadership across the board. But again, I am a Black man, and I'm constantly trying to remind people it's very hard being a Black man. So it must be damn impossible being a Black woman, because she has to push our big heads out, amongst other things, right? And so, I took away that, for one, anytime, you see Black leadership step forward, and if they're not on the right side, then you're going to see this kind of attack, this kind of nonsense. We saw it, we still see it with Andrew Gillum. But I also took away that she was very poised, and her composure was to the part of a justice that could be exonerated and trusted, and knowing that she has that composure, she would have that composure as a justice when she's looking at a case brought forward by the American people. So I had 2 takeaways. Let's go on to the next one, David. Again, both Rubio and Scott voted against Ketanji. This is not a surprise. We have not seen them represent us since they stepped into office. But yeah, again, Florida Republicans, Rubio and Scott, they always take part in other people's business and none in ours when we need things. We need a good judge. We needed another judge. Obviously, justices are needed in the Supreme Court, but again, they just found it not necessary to vote her in. And the excuses they gave were just full of, can't say it on the net, but we never see them flip across the board.
I was reading that originally, when her nomination came out, Senator McConnell said that there was no question that she was qualified. They pushed her through 3 different times so she has gone through this process in different ways and been nominated and qualified 3 different times in front of the Senate on a bipartisan basis. So the fact that they decided at the 11th hour, if you will, not to support her is very partisan, and this should never be about partisanship. This is about justice in our nation. Our group, I just dropped in a link. If you can share that, we're sending Marco Rubio once again a pink slip for his hypocrisy in the state of Florida, that he purports that he is for justice and freedoms in the state of Florida, but yet he ignores the everyday needs of the people of Florida. And so I put that link there. The other thing I will say, Rick Scott is also the same. You know, he would love to get his hands on folks' Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Make no mistake about it. He would love to give more tax breaks to his rich, wealthy friends and ignore everyday folks. So not surprised with their vote, but very disappointing. And hopefully the people of Florida will realize their shenanigans and replace them immediately.
Yeah, definitely 100%. Because that, looking at how Rubio voted, I mean, just the absolute incoherence of any senator that would, you know, vote for Kavanaugh after just absolute emotion, terrible outbursts and during hearings, just turning it into a, you know, into an absolute show about how terribly he's been treated, and then turn around and a few years later have Justice Ketanji and then to vote against her on really just the shakiest of grounds, of course. And of course that's Rubio here. You know, it's both Rubio and Scott. But this is the year that Rubio is going to, you know, try to claim that he's doing good work, and we're here to very firmly look at this vote, look at the record, and say that's not the case. This is really an embarrassment to Florida that you voted down a highly qualified Floridian, because Ketanji spent a lot of time in Florida. She's from here. And we could really use a senator that is going to support and be an advocate for justice, for having qualified justices on the Supreme Court, and of course just having a consistency for looking at and judging the quality of these laws in general, as we know that this isn't a strong suit for Marco, either looking at laws or voting for justices. So this is really just the case that we need to hammer home that you know, if this is a good day for you and you're looking at it, just know that if you're in Florida, it was no thanks to your senator, and despite all of our efforts, you know, both Juan, myself, and volunteers were calling, directly patching people to Rubio's office saying, you know, do the right thing, vote to confirm Ketanji. And despite hearing from thousands upon thousands of Floridians, he just, you know, just towed the party line. That's all he's doing, just towing the party line. Couldn't possibly take into account the specifics, the qualifications, just going to do what Mitch McConnell tells him to, what he thinks the Trump base really appreciates, and we can do a lot better. So that's a big takeaway for Florida when we're approaching the time to vote.
Absolutely, yeah. I would not expect anything more from Naidu. It's time for the pink slip. I'm tired of telling them or saying that we're waiting for them to do something, right? They're not going to do something. It's evident, more evident by the day, or as the weeks, as the months, as the years go by. And we cannot afford another year, or not even, we can't even afford another day with these two men as our leadership. But hey, we know what to do, right? Lori, right? Bernice, you know what to do. One thing you guys could do is definitely check out that pink slip link that was left in the chat.
Thank you. I just want to say one other thing about that. Is a great point about what to do. You know, a lot of times, right, especially now, we're sort of in election cycles, so we're thinking, you know, register to vote, number one, right? Get out to vote, number two. But I also want to champion advocacy. You know, our group midweek, we started pushing out, you know, make sure you're calling Rubio and Scott's office. And, you know, folks are like, well, they're not going to vote for Ketanji Brown Jackson. They're not going to do it. But I maintain that our responsibility as citizens is we have to be advocates and we have to hold our leaders accountable. The day we give up holding our leaders accountable, we are complicit in what they do. They want us to be silent. Rubio doesn't want to hear from us. Scott doesn't want to hear from us. Well, too bad. You work for the American people, sir, and it is your responsibility to listen to us. Now, I can't say for certain that when we make those calls, they're going to change their mind today or tomorrow. But I do know that it is our responsibility as citizens to hold our leaders accountable and to continue to do that. When we let go of those rights and privileges, we start to see a demise into authoritarianism. And I think we can see clearly what is happening around the world in Russia and Ukraine. What happens when you give up your power to an authoritarian, or in this case, somebody like Putin, and you buy into this whole media thing? Now you're seeing the slaughter of innocent people. And I'm not saying that it's going to happen tomorrow, but we are in a slippery slope as citizens when we give up our voice and holding people accountable. We expect as Americans that we'll have that gratification tomorrow. Well, that isn't justice. You know, Ketanji Brown Jackson is really shows that justice is slow, right? It is slow and it does take a while, but we've got to keep fighting for it. There's too much at stake in our children's future, in our country, our economy, your jobs, whatever it may be. We have to continue that. So register to vote. Make sure you're voting for folks that align with your values, but also keep up with your advocacy. Be loud on issues. In Florida, Lord knows we've got a lot of those.
Yeah, I think when I think about this, the most important thing that comes to my mind is we've got to hold these folks accountable for their actions. And we have a great opportunity to hold Rubio accountable this year. And so, like, just get engaged. Definitely make sure that you're registered to vote at your current address. And get involved in the community. I mean, there's so many ways to get out the vote. But I think it's just so important that we change who is in office, because right now they're not working for Floridians. They're working for special interests. They're working for corporations. They're not working for you and me. And so it's critical that we come together as a collective, and we have the power to replace Rubio. We have the numbers. I mean, if we look at the governor's election, the last governor's election, it was so close here in Florida. That just tells me that we're on like the precipice of change here in our state. And it's a really exciting time to be a Floridian. So please stay engaged. Please get out and vote. It's critical this year.
Absolutely. You know, somebody asked me yesterday on the phone, Lori, as we did patch throughs to Senator Rubio's voicemail. They asked me, you know, when you guys going to learn that he's not going to listen. I said, you know, believe me, ma'am, when he is out of office, you will not get another call from me about Marco Rubio, Rick Scott, or any of these dweebs. I promise you. So we have to get out and vote. It is necessary not only to get out and vote. It's necessary for us as advocates, for people the people who are, the shepherds of advocacy, for us to make sure that these people know how and know the rules for voting now. Just recently, the Supreme Court voted against some of the nonsense that DeSantis tried to set forth with voter law, like the drop boxes. So that's one small win, but it's up to us also to make sure that people know how to do these things. And what is that going to take? Again, being active and being activated, and knowing that you have power in your voice and your vote, more importantly.
I'll just add one little thing about advocacy. I also think it's important that we stress that we're advocating also against, maybe Democrats that didn't hear the people or vote with people. Manchin is a great example of this. I think as citizens, we don't get to complain if we haven't done the work. And part of that work is picking up the phone, sending the email, letting your congressperson or your senator know how you feel. I just feel like too many people just want to complain that nothing can change and nothing can be done, but they're not willing to do the take a moment, right, and let their lawmakers know. I tell you, things would change in Florida if millions of people were calling on a regular basis on issues. I think our senators would pay attention. They may not always, but I do believe that it would be very impactful. So we still, no matter who's in office, and even with Joe Biden, send those letters, let them know. Democracy, just like voting, is voicing your concerns. Otherwise, you don't get to complain.
Spot on. Love it. Then we could go to the next one. I think we're coming close to the end here, unfortunately. But we could continue to celebrate Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. And I also encourage everybody to do more research, as we saw a lot of messy information come out about Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson, and so do your own research. But we know that it was a great decision, and we are celebrating her confirmation, and will continue to do so for the rest of the week, for the rest of the month, for the rest of the year. It's Black History, baby, and it looks good. We will definitely keep on celebrating, but we want you to stay in touch with each and every one of us. Bernice, I'll let you jump in and tell people where they can stay in touch with you at.
Yeah, so folks can visit us at dreamdefenders.org. Today, this is Dream Defenders 10-year anniversary, so we also have an anniversary website that I can drop. But it's super exciting. We're going to be having different events to celebrate 10 years of Dream Defenders. So we'll definitely keep you all posted on that. So definitely check out our website.
Awesome. And Lori?
Yeah, so folks can find us at browardforprogress.org. You see, it's super excited. I got this when I was at her first day of confirmation hearings. I went up, was very fortunate to go with Center for Popular Democracy, and a whole bunch of folks were outside for a rally for her at the Supreme Court. Please join our little grassroots group. We're small but mighty, browardforprogress.org. And thank you again, David and Juan, for having us today.
Thank you. I always hate to leave these panels with you guys because it's always great conversation. It's always just authentic conversation. So I love it. I know the people who watch love it and like it. Bernice is the queen to this day of these virtual panels, as is Lori. So I am honored to have you guys. I think, I couldn't ask for a better panel. So thank you guys for coming. And of course, you can keep up with us here at For Our Future at forflorida.us on our Facebook groups. We have organizing to East Central, I think it is, and organizing to South Florida. You can find David in East Central and me in South Florida. And also forourfuturefund.org to find out all of the other fun stuff we're doing within the communities. I want to say thank you. Let's continue to celebrate big wins when we get them. And Justice Jackson's confirmation was a huge win. So you know what I say, keep on reaching out with your eyes closed and your hearts open, and we'll be okay. And the next time we'll see you again, hopefully. Later, Gators.